The story of Tristan and Isolde was made popular during the 12th century through French medieval poetry. There are two main traditions: the earlier tradition of two poets, Thomas of Britain and Barreau, and the later tradition which stems from the prose Tristan. The story can be traced back to the original archetypal Celtic romance and has become an influential romance and tragedy retold in numerous sources with many different variations. Today we're going to talk about mostly the poetry, but overall the plot remains much the same. It's quite a long story, so hold tight. A powerful duke from Ireland named Morholt demanded tributes from King Mark of Cornwall. In response, the Cornish knight Tristan challenges Morholt in single combat. They met on an island where Tristan destroys his boat so that only one person can leave. This was a battle to the death. The two fought a fierce battle and Morholt received a mortal wound. However, as Morholt was dying, he told Tristan that he would die of his wound too. Though not as serious of a cut, Morholt had smeared his sword with poison, and the only person who could heal Tristan of this poison was Morholt's sister, Queen Isolde of Ireland. First of all, foul move poisoning your sword. Second, if you want him to die of poison, why did you tell him how to heal himself? Morholt died and Tristan left the island. He told Morholt's followers to bring their leader's body back to the King Gorham of Ireland and to tell the king that the only tribute he would receive from Cornwall was Morholt's body. The guy's got some sass. Queen Isolde the Elder and her daughter Isolde the Fair mourned over Morholt's death. And yes, mom and daughter have the same name. Just to avoid confusion from now on, I will refer to Queen Isolde the Elder as the Queen, just so that it's not super confusing. The Queen found a splinter of Tristan's sword in Morholt's wound, and Isolde the Fair kept the splinter. Sure enough, Tristan was poisoned, and no physician in Cornwall could heal him. He decided to return to Ireland to try to get Queen Isolde to heal him, but seeing as he just killed her brother, he decided to disguise himself. Probably a good idea. He disguised himself as a musician and went by the name Tantris. Tantris played the harp so beautifully that Isolde the Fair also wanted to learn how to play. Since he was wounded, Queen Isolde healed him, unknowingly healing her brother's killer. After 40 days of teaching Isolde the Fair how to play the harp, he was fully recovered and decided it was time to return home. At one point, Tristan has to return to Ireland once again. This time it was to win the hand of Isolde the Fair for his uncle King Mark. So off Tristan went, trying to figure out how to win the hand of the niece of the guy he just killed, who, oh yeah, is also the daughter of a king. Lucky for Tristan, there was a dragon bothering Ireland, and King Gorham promised the hand of his daughter, Isolde the Fair, to any suitor who could kill the dragon. So of course, being the talented and brave knight that Tristan is, he goes off and kills the dragon. He cuts off the dragon's tongue as proof of the kill and places the tongue under his shirt. But the venom of the dragon's tongue seeped into Tristan's body and he passed out by the river. Gorham's seneschal found the dead dragon and, seeing as there was no dragon slayer in sight, thought that the knight had passed away during the battle. Lusting after Isolde for himself, he decides to claim the kill as his own and cuts off the dragon's head. Everyone was surprised by the seneschal's claim since he had a bit of a reputation for being a coward. Isolde is convinced that the seneschal isn't the real dragon slayer and she doesn't want to marry a coward, so she decides to go to her mother and the queen agrees with her daughter. The two go off looking for the real dragon slayer. They found the headless body of the dragon with no dragon slayer in sight. By the time they got to the river, they found Tristan passed out. But of course they recognized Tristan as Tantris, the musician. However, given his condition, they figured that he was the real dragon slayer. They secretly take him back to the castle and nurse him back to health. When Tristan regains consciousness, he tells them what happened, and the queen goes to the king with Tristan's claim. The seneschal refutes Tristan's claim, and they challenged one another to single combat the next day. Since the queen supported Tristan's claim, She was responsible for Tristan, aka Tantris, for showing up to the duel. So if Tristan didn't show up the next day, the queen forfeited her life as well as Tantris's life. That night while Tristan is bathing, Isolde comes in to clean his sword. She notices a notch in his sword and realizes that the splinter she has from Morhaut's body matches the notch in his sword, and that she had found her uncle's killer. Isolde was about to kill Tristan in his bath with his own sword, but realized that if Tristan did die, she would have to marry the coward seneschal that she despised, and her mother would also have to forfeit her life if Tristan didn't show up to the duel. Thus, she had no choice but to forgive Tristan. She told her mother about Tristan's real identity, and the queen reluctantly agreed that they must help Tristan. Tristan told them that since he was trying to win her hand for King Mark, if they were to have children in the future, they would be rulers of both Cornwall and Ireland, which was an appealing offer. The next day, it was revealed that Tristan was the true dragon slayer since he had the dragon's tongue, and Isolde was to marry King Mark. Before Tristan and Isolde left Ireland, the queen prepared a love potion. She was afraid that her daughter would be unhappy marrying the much older Cornish king, so she made the love potion for King Mark and Isolde. She gave it to Brangwain, Isolde's companion and maidservant. As they were sailing, Tristan and Isolde became thirsty, and he found the bottle of wine, which actually contained the love potion. Uh-oh. When they drank it, they instantly fell in love. They made love on the ship before arriving in Cornwall. They find out that it's all because of the love potion, but because of the potion's effects, they can't control their passions for one another. Isolde still has to marry King Mark, but since she lost her maidenhood to Tristan, that night in the bridal bed she switches places with Bragwain to cover her loss of virginity. Bragwain would sleep in the dark with King Mark, and he would take her maidenhood thinking it was Isolde's. This all kind of sucks for Bragwain. Once again, Isolde spends the night in Tristan's arm. Before daylight, she returns to her husband's bed. As time went by, people began to suspect the relationship between the king's wife and his nephew. The king's advisors repeatedly tries to convince the king and to expose Tristan and Isolde's adultery and treason against the king, but the couple are able to feign innocence. And we have a love triangle, folks. Tristan and Isolde are obviously in love with each other because of the love potion, but Tristan also loves, honors, and respects King Mark as his father figure and mentor. Isolde is thankful that King Mark is kind to her, and King Mark loves Isolde as his wife and Tristan as his son. However, the king grows suspicious of the two. When the king finds what seems to be proof of the two's adultery, he decides to punish them by burning at the stake. Tristan manages to escape by a miraculous jump from the chapel window, and he goes and rescues Isolde as well. The two escape into the forest. Mark discovered the two in the woods, finding them asleep with a sword between them and still wearing clothes. He thought this meant they were innocent and felt guilty for suspecting them. Knowing that Mark could have killed them in their sleep, they decide that the right thing to do is to make peace with King Mark. Isolde would return to her husband, and Tristan would leave the country. Banished from his uncle's court and exiled, Tristan travels to many different kingdoms. In Brittany, he marries Isolde of the White Hands, another Isolde, but of course not as beautiful as Isolde the Fair. There's a couple different accounts as to how Tristan gets mortally wounded, but in most of them he is poisoned, and the only person who could heal him is Isolde the Fair, the one he loves but isn't married to. He sends his friend to bring Isolde back to him, saying that if he was successful in bringing her, he should return with white sails hoisted, otherwise to return with black sails. Isolde the Fair immediately set out to save her lover, but unfortunately, on the way back, Isolde of the White Hands is the first to spot the ship returning, and out of spite, tells Tristan that the sails are black. Thinking that Isolde the Fair had abandoned him, he gave up the will to live and died. Isolde the Fair arrived to find Tristan dead, Grief-stricken, she rushes to his side and died with her arms around him. King Mark has both bodies returned to Cornwall and buries them side by side. In a single night, 2 trees grew miraculously from both graves, with branches intertwined, a symbol of their inseparable love. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to keep watching more love stories, I have a whole bunch of them which I made in celebration of Valentine's Day this February, so I'll have a link to the playlist in the description bar. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.